Hey everyone, welcome back to White Sparrow Living, Luke 12:6. I'm Wendy and I'm so happy you're here. Today we're doing some Dollar Tree DIYs for your spring home decor. This is our first episode, so let's get started. For this project, I'm going to be using 3 of these Dollar Tree Easter signs. I wanted to make them all the same size, and I only had 2 of the Easter ones, but it doesn't matter what it is. We're going to be using the backs of these, so just make sure that you have 3 that are the same size. And then I found these really pretty spring flowers in the Dollar Tree decal section. They're super vertical. They've got 2 different designs, but these are going to work perfectly for our little triptych that we're making. So you guys have seen me take the paper off of these signs 70 times, and it's usually pretty easy, but this time it wasn't as easy, so this took some time and effort to get these off. So I wanted to show you that it's not always easy. So I took the jute twine hangers off of these, and the back, the little holes were a little bit jaggedy, so I had to first sand those down, and then I'm going to take my spackle and just fill those holes just using my finger and get those nice and filled. They always end up showing a little bit, but after you paint them, it's not so noticeable. And I usually put them at the bottom so you don't even see them. And then I'll give it a final sanding just to get them as smooth as I can. So now I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint in white, and I'm going to paint all 3 of these. Now, one thing I did notice, usually when I add paint, it'll curl up, but then when it dries, it flattens back out. One of them didn't, and I was wondering why, one is not like the others. And it was because I accidentally forgot to take the paper off of the back. So there might be something having to do with that. That is the reason why it curls up. So I don't know. It was kind of a science experiment. So then I took my heat tool and I'm going to get those all dried just because I don't have that fruit of patience all the way worked out. And then I'm going to take my sanding sponge and sand the edges just to give it a little bit of that brown wood or whatever this is peeking out. So then I took 3 of these little dessert cups. These are, square, and I thought that would be perfect because they'll go against my flat signs because it has a flat side. But first, in order to paint it and make that paint stick, I'm going to use my sanding block again and get those sides all roughed up. And then I'll go back in with my white chalk paint and paint all 4 sides. I did leave a little stripe in the back open without the paint because that's where I'm going to glue it to my sign. So just so that I was sure that there would be a good hold with my hot glue and my permanent adhesive. So I'm using some permanent adhesive from Dollar Tree, and I'm placing that right in the middle, and then I'll add my hot glue to each side. I've been told that you're not supposed to mix the 2 because it loses hold, so I try to do that. Sometimes you can't help it, but I'm just going to add these to the bottoms of my signs, and then I'm going to take my decal. And you want to pull this off pretty gently because there's some skinny stems that could rip if you do it too hard or too quickly. So I'm going to add that right to the top of my sign or the top of my little pot, which is, my little dessert cup, and then add those. I gave it a little gap at the top because we're going to add a word, and then we're going to have some Dollar Tree flowers that we're going to put inside of our little pots. Now there's 2 different designs, so what I did was I had 2 that are the same, and those will be the outside signs of our little triptych, and then the different one will go in the middle. So now I'm going to cut out my words using my CRICUT, and I use the font Dandelion for this, and I'm using my FRISCO Craft adhesive vinyl as well as the transfer tape, and I'll have all of those linked in the description box below. So I'm just going to weed out my words, and I really love this font. It just looks so springy and playful and is appropriately called Dandelion, I guess, for a reason. So once I get everything weeded out, I'll put my FRISCO craft transfer paper on top. And I get a lot of questions about why it looks so easy when I pull that transfer tape off. And this is used already, so when you use it a few times or a couple times, it makes it a little bit easier because there's less tackiness on it. I don't know why that is, but it works out better, so I always keep mine and use them a few times, and then I'll finally toss it. So now I'm going to take a small square of scrap floral foam, and I'm just going to hot glue that and tuck it right inside of my little pot. And then I'm taking some Dollar Tree lavender stems and just putting those into the floral foam. I cut the stem off a little bit below where they all come together and then just poke that in there. And then I'll take some more Dollar Tree greenery and cut a couple of those pieces off and tuck it in there as well. I did one on the front and then one on the back and let a little bit of it hang over just to add a little more cuteness. So now I'm going to take some reindeer moss and just put that into my pot. You really don't see the floral foam, but just to give it some more springy goodness, I'm just going to tuck that in there as well, and it is done. And here they are, all finished, and I love triptychs. You guys know this if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, but these are so perfect for the size of these boards, and the lavender stems are always my favorite. They look so pretty and have a higher quality to them, plus they have this powdery prettiness on top to make them soft and springy looking. I love how this turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. For our next project, I'm going to be using this white Flower Market container and then a long skewer. These are those barbecue ones that you can get right before summertime. And then I have this round styrofoam ball. This was the largest one I had, and then I had these two Dollar Tree ones. We're not making a snowman, but I just want 3 different sizes. And then I have a little bit of leftover styrofoam, also from the Dollar Tree, and then a whole bunch of Dollar Tree flowers. I wasn't sure which flower combination or color combination I was going to be using, but when I set this out just the way it was, just to show you guys the different flowers, I loved that purple and then pink and then the lighter pink. So we're going to do something along those lines. So I'm going to take my purple ones and start out with those. I had a couple of different types of flowers because I didn't have all roses, and so we're going to mix it up a little bit. I'm just going to cut those stems off and then push my leaves up toward the flower so that when I poke it in, the leaves will also do some filling. I stuck my skewer in right through the center of my styrofoam ball, and then that way when I place my flowers, I can just kind of go around the skewer and start filling that up. And I wanted to kind of spread out the different types of flowers so that I didn't have a specific, cluster of just roses and then a cluster of those other ones, which I can't remember the names of them. And unfortunately, I did not keep track of how many flowers I used or how many stems I had to buy. So I just always say get more than you need, and that way you'll have enough. And some of these were scraps also. This is a really good way to get rid of those partially used floral stems that you already have on hand. And then I still saw a couple of little areas that I wanted to fill in. So I found some purplish, like hydrangeas of some sort. So I stuck those in here and there too. But you get the idea that it's all in the purple colors. So now I'm going to take my larger or middle-sized ball. Now, because it's so much smaller than the large one, when I cut my flowers off, I'm going to keep the stems a little bit longer, and then when I poke them in, I'll leave them out and not exactly onto the styrofoam like I did with my purple ones. You see what I'm saying? So then that way it's going to be a little bit larger than the styrofoam ball, and then it makes more sense. It's not such a drastic change from the large to a tiny little ball of prettiness. But you see what I'm saying. I have to make it a little bit bigger so that it works with the size when I go down the line, or in this case, up the line, and the size is just a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my eeny weeny little ball, and I went around the diameter of the styrofoam ball first, and then I'm going to stick my skewer in there, but not go all the way through that styrofoam, and then I'll continue filling in with these really pretty light pink roses. So now that my little topiary is done, I'm going to take some rocks and fill in my pot, and then I'll add my styrofoam. And there's no need to use any glue because I'm pushing it in there and it wedges itself in there. So the rocks will keep it steady because this is going to be kind of a tall piece. So I don't want it to be top heavy and topple over from the weight of the flowers. And then I'm going to poke that all into my styrofoam. Now, just to give it some more security, I added my hot glue and then poked it in again. And then I'm going to add a little tiny piece of scrap dowel on the side just to give it some more thickness at the base of my topiary. And you'll see when I show you the reveal at the end how tall this is. So my light was in the way, so that's why I had to adjust my camera and move it away so that it didn't keep hitting it. And then I'm just going to add some extra hot glue. Now, after I was done, I noticed, and I should have done this before, but you know, I always say, do as I say, not as I do. I wanted my dowel to look more like a branch, so I'm going to use my antique wax and stain that to look more natural. And then I'm going to add some moss at the bottom, and then it's done. And here it is, all finished, and I think this is so pretty. I was meaning for it to be a tabletop piece, but it's so tall I had to put it by my fireplace to show you guys. But it's so springy and pretty. I love it, and I hope you guys like it too. For this project, we're going to be using this Dollar Tree straw hat, and then I have a lot of leftovers and scrap pieces of spring flowers and greenery. This super pretty cabbage rose is from Walmart, and I used some pieces already. You can see here there's just a couple left over. And then this is a piece from a Dollar Tree stem, and I used the flowers, but sometimes the greenery is really pretty, and so I always keep those. And then again, some lavender from the Dollar Tree. And then I have some baby's breath. This is from Walmart also. I like these because the stems are a little bit softer. And then I wasn't sure what color ribbon I was going to use or the bow that I was going to make. So I have this lighter pink from Walmart, the wider one, the 2-inch thick. And I end up using that as well as some white tulle. and that makes anything look soft and springy, I think. So I just pulled off the fabric that was already around the rim of the hat, and then I also found some of this really soft pink satin ribbon. I got this off of a Christmas present this year, and I thought that would be pretty to add to this because I decided to leave all of the purple out and go a different route. So I'm going to first take my 2-inch thick ribbon and wrap it around the hat, and then it kind of has a little bit of a curve to it, so I don't want my ribbon to be sticking out. So I'm going to pull it really tightly, and then instead of gluing it, I'm going to use my stapler to kind of keep that in place and get it nice and tight. And then I'll staple it in the back and then cut off the excess. And then I'm going to roll the rim and then push my stapler onto it so that it'll secure it both on the side and at the bottom. So I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted my bow to look, so I'm just going to take some tulle and wrap that around a few times. I love working with tulle because it's so easy to be perky without really trying. And then I'm just going to clamp that together for the time being. And then I'm going to take my 2-inch ribbon and fold that over. I just did 2 loops on each side and then gave it a long tail at the bottom. And then I'm going to find the middle of that, and using my scissors, I will make some snips right in the middle. And then I'm going to clamp that one and put it aside as well, because I'm still not sure what kind of bow I want to have on here. If I want it to be a perky bow or a sweet little bow. So we'll see once I get all of the flowers on. So I'm going to first take my cabbage roses and pull those off, or cut those off of the stems. And then I used that Dollar Tree greenery that's going to go below it. So I'm going to put that in a little bunch. And then I took a nylon zip tie and I'm going to wrap it around the greenery, but I'm not going to tighten it because I'm going to stick the stem of my cabbage rose right in there, and then I'll tighten it. And then I'm going to cut off the excess zip tie, and then I'll hot glue all of that bundle of prettiness down. And then I'm going to cut off the stems at the bottom just to get some of that out of the way. And then I'm going to add my smaller rosebud right above it and then glue that in as well. And then I'll just start building up this little side piece, and I'm using the lavender from Dollar Tree, taking those apart one by one and adding my hot glue and tucking it behind the greenery so that it pops out nicely and has like an ending space, or in this case a beginning space. And then I'll do the same thing at the bottom, and then that's going to give it a ending space. I don't know, but I do like to add a lot of the glue to those leaves, or the back side of the leaves, so that there's a lot more to grab onto and nothing's going to fall out from when you store it or move it around. You could actually wear this. I don't know. I don't look good in hats, but I think this would be adorable. I could totally see Cadence wearing this for Easter because it's so, so pretty. And then I have this other flower. What's this called, you guys? I forgot, but you know, I don't know my flowers very well. But I'm going to glue that one in there, and then I'll take my baby's breath and hot glue those in there. Just tuck it around and see where it wants to live. And you're not really doing the work. You're just letting it tell you where to go and where it wants to be so that it's nice and even and so, so pretty. So now it's finally time for my bow, and I still can't all the way decide. I tried it with the tulle on top, and I didn't like that so much. I decided to turn it over and just make it a sweet little bow, kind of a little bit more than just a sweet little bow, a doubly sweet little bow. And then I'm going to take another zip tie and attach it in the middle, and then I'm going to feed it through my straw of my straw hat and just poke it in there on the inside and then attach it in there, and that'll keep my bow snug as a bug in a rug. And then once I get that bow attached, I'm going to take my satin ribbon and make another sweet little bow, leaving quite a bit of a tail hanging down just to make some more springy cuteness, and attach that right in the middle, and then it's done. And here it is, all finished, and oh, I love this so much. Nothing says springtime like a wide-rimmed straw hat with flowers adorning it. I love how this turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. For this project, I'm going to be using 3 of these Dollar Tree trays, and you can find these in the Crafter's Square, and they're just the raw wood. And then I've got 2 of these signs with the little metal pieces on the side, and they have a sticky word on top that's kind of 3D, and so I'm just going to pull those off using my CRICUT spatula. And then there's a bunch of ickies that's left on the wood, so I'm going to first use my sander. That didn't quite work out so well, and so I pulled my acetone out to get the lettering off. I didn't get it all the way off, but I don't think it's going to matter. And then I used my heat tool to get the stickers off. So now I'm going to take a Dollar Tree dowel, and I'm going to cut that down a little bit longer than what my trays are, and you'll see why in a second. And I'm going to be using my Gardel miter shears to do that, and I'll have it linked in the description box below. And then I'm going to take my drill and drill holes not all the way through, but just probably 3/4 of the way through of my signs on one side. And this is going to be on the inside, and that's going to be where my dowel's going to go. So now I'm going to put my trays, and this is going to be a 3-tiered tray. And I'm going to eyeball everything. You know, I like to eyeball. And so sometimes, though, I will double check with my ruler. And in this case, I was spot on. And I like when that happens because I'm just validating my eyeballing skills. So once I get them in place, I'm going to take a pencil and mark where they need to go so that I can be sure that they stay in that place. And then I'm going to put my second piece of wood right next to it so that I can, again, make my line go all the way across, and so they'll be even for both sides of my wood. Now, because the wood of the tray is so thin, I'm going to go from the side of the tray, but it's kind of hard to get in there with my brad nailer, and I'll have my brad nailer linked in the description box below as well. So I'm going to do 2 of these, going from the inside of the box and nailing down into the thicker piece of wood, because if I went from the wood side into the box, I'm not sure how much, it might come all the way through and have some pokies sticking out. So I'm going to do the top one and the bottom one, and then on the other side, I'm going to do the middle one. And then that way I'll have it all secured, and I'm going to glue those boards together where they're not nailed, if that makes sense. And then I'm going to stick my dowel back into the hole, and then now I was watching TV when I was doing this project, so I had a little brain toot and made my glue go further than what my side pieces of wood would cover. So I did, I had to pull that back off and scrape it off, but do as I say, not as I do. And it's better if you're not distracted whilst using power tools and making projects like this. So anyway, now that it's all together, again, another do as I say, not as I do. It was a little more tedious painting this after I put it together, so I would recommend doing them while it's still all apart. There was just a lot of nooks and crannies once I put it together. However, if you do it while they're still all apart, it's a lot easier to get inside the boxes and on the insides of the side rails, the side pieces of wood. And I also painted over those little metal details on the outside. I thought those were really cute, so I wanted to keep those and just painted right over them. You could also sand this once you're done, because I think it's really pretty with the natural wood coming through. Or you could do a faux finish and kind of use a marker or something to make it look like it's distressed on the outsides. on the corner. You could do whatever you want, but this piece I think is so pretty in the end, and it's also super functional, and you'll see how I used it in a couple of different ways. I thought it would also be cute to add some twine to the little dowel at the top to kind of make a handle. So if you want to do that, that would be super pretty too. So originally I had planned to use this Dollar Tree stencil, and I thought it was the perfect size to go right across the fronts of my trays. And then I also found these rub-on transfers from the Dollar Tree that I thought would be really cute if you went sideways and you see the word spring there. That would be perfect for a spring project, or just some of that cursive writing, and just make it all cutie patootie that way. But when I was looking for my Dollar Tree stencil, I also found these essential stencils that I got a couple of years ago from the sweet people at Essential Stencil. That is so hard to say, but it's fun. Anyway, I'm going to do a double-sided tray because I couldn't decide which way to go with this. It's going to be a spring project, so to do that I just cut out some words on my CRICUT, and it's going to say flower, no, what's it going to say? It's going to say Fresh Flower Market. So I'm going to put those words. Oh, and the font that I used for this is called Botanical, which again, it looks like a flower market type of font. So Botanical is the one this one is. Again, I'll have this linked in the description box below. So I'm going to put that on each of my trays, Fresh Flower Market, and then that's going to be our spring side. And then for the other side, I'm going to do something different. And then I'm going to stage it for you guys so you can see both of my ideas for how to use this tray. So using my stencils, these are for tags, and I think they're so pretty. You can use these any time of year, but one says amen, one says pray, and the other one says faith, and it's got the cross at the front. Now, because my trays are a little more narrow than the cross, I kind of put the words toward the top, and that way the cross wouldn't just look like a plus sign. I don't know, you guys will be able to tell once I get it done and you see what it looks like. And then I'm just going to take my sponge dauber and start pouncing that onto the stencil. And these are reusable, so you can either clean them. I didn't actually clean it, but you can use it over and over again. Now the stencil font is super thin, so this is kind of a fat dauber, and I could have used a makeup sponge or something else to get it a little more, you know, in the little cracks, the little openings, but whatever works is good for me. And then once you pull it off, you'll see there's the little openings that a stencil has, you know, to keep the words together. And then once this is all done, I'm going to go back in with my black paint pen and kind of close some of those up. So then for our spring presentation, we're going to put all kinds of pretty flowers in there. I just took them off the stem on some of them and just plopped them in there. No styrofoam or anything like that. These are fresh flowers, people. And then here's some other, I don't know what kind, but I'm just going to let some of those leaves stay on these so that they stand up down toward the bottom. And I'll just kind of cluster them together, and I did different colors on each tier. and it's just so pretty and springy, and you can make this whatever colors you're using in your spring decor. And here it is, all finished, and I am so in love with this piece. It is so pretty for spring and can go on any shelf or countertop just to make your home sweet home look ready for the springtime. And you could actually put some real flowers in here. You can also use this for a kitchen and put like garlic or herbs or something in them. You could also use this at your coffee bar, or just to put your coffee pods in, or even make a cocoa bar, whatever you need to have in your home. But for me, I always need extra storage in my bathroom, and I love adding Jesus in every nook and cranny in my home. So here I've got some bathroom essentials, and I always need a place to put my jewelry that I grab every single day. And I'm also able to put my necklace over the side rail, so it's super functional. So, I mean, you could use this for anything. I might even include it in my next organization hack video, so we'll see. But I love how it turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. I hope you enjoyed all of these projects, and if you did, don't forget to give them a thumbs up, comment, let me know what you think. If you're not already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button down below, as well as the little bell right next to it, so that you can be notified every time I upload a brand new video. I hope everyone has a blessed day, and remember to always be the light. Bye.